Welcome to our live instructional webinar designed to support school annual yearbook program. Today we will be focusing on the functions that relate to building activity or candid pages. Specifically, we will be reviewing page bleeds and margins, the toolbar, design features, templates, click and go templates, custom templates, and themes. This webinar will be approximately 40 minutes, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the bleeds and margins, and we're going to talk about what that is. So here we have our page setup right here. You'll see two different colors. The blue right here represents the working area or the area that you will see. This is the 8.5 by 11. Right here, the red will represent the area outside of the working area or the bleed area, or what we like to call this little section right here, the no man's land. So let's go over here and so this gray area right here is the bleed line. And when we set things up like backgrounds or any other design, we want to make sure it's right here. And the reason for that is when we adjust, and we're going to do this. So as the paper is cut, the last thing you want is this white line. Is a little bit exaggerated here, but you don't want a white line so that it looks like the page is off or the print was moved or shifted during. So you'll have this weird white line all the way around the edges. This is why we have this little section right here, this little gray area. So that way this is off the page. When we cut it, it will be a solid red edge all the way around. Okay, so some of the other things that we want to take into consideration when we're placing photos on the page and why understanding the bleed and the uh, margin line and all that is we need to understand it and why it's so important is we're going to go over here to our images and we're going to pull an image over here and we're going to place it right here on the page. Now you see that we have this image on the page right here and we have this red line right here. That's our trim line. That red line right here, we're going to put it right here. Then you'll see this um, kind of a teal line going through it. That's our cut line right there. So already this cut line is uh, so already this cut line right here is already cutting off the portion of this image and a portion of this student's head. There is a plus and minus when we're doing this. Uh, so when we come in, we'll pull down a line right here and a line right here. The plus and minus comes from the could be like the operator, it could be the blade, it could be the sharpness, it could be the paper, it could be a number of different things. But when we cut these pages, there always is a plus and minus to all these. So we're taking that into consideration. You could have plus or minus of this image being removed. Um, so sometimes you may have images such as this one right here. So this image right here, you can see even more of the student is being removed. So all you see is like just the nose and smile. That's it. Then there might be in some situations where you'll get a photo like this that maybe maybe it doesn't really matter that it's out here in the trim area because most of the student will be seen. So this is one thing to take into consideration when you're planning your pages, planning where your images are, is understanding where that trim line is and understanding that some of these images might be removed or might be cut off. So You may have a couple of angry parents if some of their child's image is removed. All right. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some of the designer basics here. Okay, so some of the things we're going to show right here, we have some of the things right here. We're going to look under File. So under File, we of course we have the Save. Save as a template. We'll talk about templates here in a while. We also have View as a PDF. So after you're done with your page, you kind of want to see what it looks like. You can view it as a PDF, and here it will show you not only what it's going to look like, but it also gives you the trim line as well. So you can get an idea of just how much of the page is going to be trimmed. If you do go to print this page, oh, so that wouldn't give me the print. But when you do go to print this page, make sure it's fit to page, because if you print it like it is, chances are you may get a little bit of this, the right side here and a little bit of this bottom of it will be cut off. So make sure it says fit to page. Next we have edit. Here we have the undo and redo. So we can undo something or we can click edit and redo something. Here on the side right here, we also have the undo and redo arrows right here. Under edit, we also have cut, copy, and paste. Keyboard shortcut for that is Control C, Control V, so you can copy and paste. Here we have change background, which we'll get to here in a minute. Here we have the spelling. Now, the spelling and the spell check is not really that robust. Some of the things it will not flag are the three spellings of there, or it's, or it is. So that's something you're going to have to check. You're going to have to read it and make sure that the correct spellings are used in whatever text you put on there. It may also flag words that you know for a fact are spelled correctly, like names, but it may not understand that. Here is a really helpful tool right here. Here you have the select tool. So here you can select images and it will select all the images on the page. Here it will also select any text boxes, shapes, color. So it will select anything on the page that you need to select. So if you want to move something or delete something, you can click that. Here under view, you can come over here, and one of the things you can do is hide grid lines, or you can, the grid lines will look like, I'll show you that on another page. But here you can zoom in, zoom out. Now, one important thing right here is the facing and single page. If you have two students working on a page or on a page like this, maybe like page 10, 11, or 13, 14, whatever, and one student's assigned to 10, one student is assigned to 11. And one thing we'll run into, and I don't know if some of you have, but you may run into save error conflicts where whoever saves first owns the page. To avoid that, you can come down here to view and then go down to single page. So now the person working on page 10 can work on page 10 and without any interruption, and the person working on page 11 can work on that without any interruption. So just make sure they can, both of them, change theirs to single page instead of facing page. Now here in arrange, we have the lock and unlock. So we can click on an image, say we want to make sure it stays right there. We can come up to arrange and then we can lock it. So that's what this is. You'll see that little red icon right there in the upper left-hand corner. That lets us know that that's locked. And you come down to arrange and then unlock it if you want to. Here is group and ungroup. So if we want these, images to stay together. We can come up to arrange and then we can group them and then we can move them to wherever we need to move them together without changing where they are or their spacing or anything like that. And we can also ungroup them. This icon is also over here on the far right on the toolbar. So we got the group and the ungroup right over here. Under arrange, we can also arrange these in the center. We can also arrange these in the middle. We can transform so we can flip them if we need to flip them. And some of these are found right over here as well. So this little, what looks like a little stack of papers with a down arrow, right here you have the arrangement. So you can send these to the back, send these forward, rotate the images, and then you could do align the images right here. Here on the tool, we have, like I said, the redo and undo. We have the spell check. We also have the print preview. So we can always, like again, we can always preview our images. Here we have the virtual book. So if any time you want to look at your book virtually, you can also come up here and click on this and view your book virtually as well. We click on create and then new page designer, take you back to the page you were just working on. Here you can add comments, and here we also have the save icon as well. Now here we have these tabs right here. We'll talk about these real quick. We have pages. So instead of going back to your plan and page ladder and then going to the next page or coming over here to the next page, you can click on the pages right here and you can see all the previous pages you're working on or have worked on, and you can navigate through those as well. Here is designs, and we'll talk about the design page here shortly with all your portrait uh, templates, click and go templates, page surfer templates, your own custom templates. Here we have the images, where we'll find all the images we put in our activity folder as well as the portrait. The art tab, where you have image frames. These are just blank frames that we can put on the page, size them any way we want, and then drag and drop images into them. We also have our clip art, shapes. Here is our text. So any text that we currently have activated or any styles we have, we can always click and hold and drag those over. Here's our flow from one of our previous webinars and our history. All right, next. Next, we're going to talk about templates. Placing templates, saving custom templates, click and goes, saving custom click and go templates. So first, let's talk about placing a template. Placing a template is actually very easy. We're going to come over here to design, and then we're going to go to what template we need. So if we need something for like a candid page right here, we can click on design, this little down arrow right here. Come over to page surfer, click the little down arrow. Here we'll see subsections. We click on candids, and then you will have two pages right here. These are like left page, right page. You can use one or you can use both. It doesn't really matter. But here you will see all the different selections we have, and you can choose any one you want. Click and hold, drag it over, let go. Now you're going to get this little pop-up right here that says, do you want to retain existing content? If you click yes, that means the background here will stay. If I click no, you will see that the background is now gone. So I come over here and I bring this over, click yes. Then you'll see that the background is changed, it stayed there. Now, if you ever bring one over, yes, you can edit this template. So if for any reason you don't want this box here, or you don't want this box, or maybe you don't want this box or this box, but instead you want to come over to clip art and you want to bring over a clip art right here. You can resize it, bring another clip art and resize it here. The reason why I'm bringing it onto this other page, because I'll show you real quick. Because if I bring the clip art over, you will see that it once some of these boxes turn green. If it's green, it's good to go. You can drop it in there. If it's red, that means the text box is larger than the image you were trying to put into it, and it will not let you do that. If you try doing that, it will just sit right on top, and this box will be unused. And we'll discuss in the next webinar why you want to make sure every box, every image frame on the page is used. So if it's green, then that means I could just drop it in. But you can do something like this, and if for any reason you want to save it, we can come over here to File, Save as a Template, and let's go ahead and let's put the other side on there. This is a good one. Let's put this one on here. There we go. So we can come over here to File, Save as a Template, and here we can give this template a name, and then we can select either the left page that we want to save, the right page that we want to save, or we can select both pages. Or you can do all three of them. Should you have um, start at a left page for designs and then you end up with just a left page at the end, but your right page might start something else or might be a transition page. Some schools will do that. They will have a page that has like one little image on it that says fourth grade, and that's their transition page. So you can do both. You come down here and click save. I already had one from a previous webinar, so um, but you will get a pop-up in case you name something the same again. It will actually warn you saying, "Hey, do you want to override this?" All right. So to find this clip art, so if we would go to another page, so if we ever went to onto another page and we want to drop that template over here, we're going to go back up to designs. We're going to go up to custom, and we're going to come down here to my templates. So why would I save a template? Because if I want to use this template on other pages, or if I want to use this template for next year, then it's easier to save it as a template than it would be just to save the page. Um, Mainly the reason why I want to save it as a template so I don't have to reinvent this template every single page. So if I spend an hour getting a page set up, last thing I want to do is spend another hour on another page doing exactly the same thing. So this is why it's easier to save it as a template. So that way I can come over here. Here's a template that we just did. I can click and hold, drag, and drop, and then I'm done. So save it. Now I can come back to the next page, drag, drop, and I'm already done. I'm a couple of pages ahead. I don't have to sit there and redo this um, for every single page. All right. So next we're going to look at click and go templates. So we're going to remove everything on this page. We're going back up to designs, and then we're going to go back to page surfer. Oh, here we're going to go down to, sorry, we're going to go down here to click and go, and we can look at some of these different little like small pieces, headlines. So you can click and hold and bring a headline over. So you can bring this over. Now you'll see right here real quick, you'll see it's dotted line all the way around instead of, So you'll see that this is a solid yellow line all the way around, but this one has a dotted yellow line all the way around. And if you ever see this, if you ever pull one of these over from the click and go or from any of the templates and you see this dotted yellow line, that means this is all grouped together. So you can come up to arrange and ungroup, or you can come over here to the far right and click on ungroup. Then you will see the solid yellow line over everything that was a part of this group. Then from there you can click on this and then you can change all the writing again. And once you're done, if you want to, you can highlight everything and click group, and then that way everything stays in one group. Then if you ever create something like this and you want to use it on another page, or you edit it, or you got the coloring you want, whatever it may be, you can come up to file, save as a click and go, enter the name on save, and then in designs under custom, instead of my template, just go to my click and go, and then there it is. There's the one we just made. So then we can just bring it onto the other page, ungroup, click here on ungroup, and change whatever text that needs to be changed. Now, so those of you that have a cover, that you selected a cover from one of our various different ones, some of you actually do have themes for those. Some of you may have backgrounds and clip art associated with those. To find those, you can come on down to art, clip art, click this down arrow. Then here you will have a by cover, so you can click on that. So if you had a cover, say, go with the flow, here is all the backgrounds associated with your cover, as well as all the clip art. Now, you're not limited to the clip art here. In fact, none of you are limited to any of the regular clip art. You can use this whole entire library of clip art that you want. If you have a theme such as um, chalk or color or whatever, you can use all of these. These are available to you as well. If there's something in the cover center that you like, or the cover area, if you like this, this color right here, you can use that on your background. We'll talk about how to place backgrounds here in a minute. But you can use that. If you like these clip arts for these letters, you're free to use them. Right. So next we're going to talk about backgrounds. Now, to place a background, we're going to go up to Edit and Change Background. When we do that, we get this little pop-up screen right here. You can also right-click, come down to Change Background, and we get the same pop-up screen as well. First, you will have your left page, your right page. Next, you will have background color. So on the right page here, we can click on this down arrow right here. And here we have different colors. So if you find one that you like, you can click on it and it places it here in the background. As you can see, it's not clickable because it moves it to the back of the page, outside of the, I guess, clickable area, you can call it. If for any reason you don't like it, you can simply click that down arrow again, come over, find another color. There's other options. When you put a image on there, you can flip and rotate it, crop, snap edit. You can change the tint on this, so you can have it either a dark color, or maybe you want to lighten it up just a little bit. If for any reason you need to remove it, click on remove, and it removes that image. Now we're going to come back up here. We're going to go to image, and it says to choose image. We're going to click here. Now, for some of you by default, you may have, it says all backgrounds right here, all backgrounds. So here you can go through the whole library of different backgrounds, find that one that you want, click on it, and hit select. and it will place the background on the page there. Those of you with clip art or with covers that have custom covers on it as well, you can go to your background right here, find the one that you want, click on it, and hit select, and it places that background on there. You can also, as you saw first saw when we went in here, we could go under activities. You could actually make your own background as well too. So we can go to all background. We can go to activity, and if we had a background or something like that, uh, we can click on it, and then we can select it and bring it up here. If you had clip art, you can also select right here any image or any background or anything with this red box around it. It cannot be used as a background. So if you have an image you want or a piece of clip art, you can even use clip art as a background too. You can click on it, click on select, and then from here you can change the tint. You can go to snap edit, and we'll talk about more about snap edit here too. But you can make this a black and white photo. Oh, we're, we're stuck with it until it decides it wants to load. You can also change the coloring right here. You can change the overlay. So yeah, you can uh, change some of the aspects of this photo, and I'll show you the snap edit here on a better photo. You can also crop the image. So if you ever need to crop it, you can click on that. You can make the photo bigger, but you can only make it so small. But you can change it over here. Click on it. So there you can always change the size of the photo as well. Then once you have all that, here we're going to talk about, let's get rid of all this. Okay, next we're going to talk about formatting photos and text boxes, shape boxes, and things like that. So we're going to get a little more of the design work right here. So we're going to bring this photo over, and we're going to put it right here. And some of the things you can do is you can add like a border around this photo. So with it selected, you're going to see that there's a toolbar right up here. So this toolbar right above the pages, we have some of the different selections right here, such as a stroke style. So if we click on this, it puts a black line all the way around it. So it's a little border all the way around the box here, well, the photo. You can barely see it, so you can always come over here where it says stroke size. So we can click on this and we can bring it up a little bit more. And if you still can't see it or it still doesn't look good, we can come back over here to the left right here and we can click on color. Real quick, you'll see a section right here that says used on page. Any coloring that you use on a page will automatically be right here, so you don't have to go find that color all the time. So you can click right here, scroll down, find the one that you want, click on that, and then there you go. You can have a different color border. You can also crop this image as well. So for any reason that you need to make this photo just a little bit larger, or maybe you have a photo, uh, maybe you have a photo like this one right here, where you have a lot of empty space right above these students. So we can double click on it, and it's all you have to do, just double click. You'll see everything else kind of darkens out. Then you can take this box right here, and you can drag it. And I know that some of these students are being cropped out, but you could drag it, move the image up to where you need to focus it, click off of it, and there you go. You have moved it up so where some of that blank spot is now gone, and some of these images can be seen a little bit more clear. So next, we're going to talk a little bit more about this format and effects. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to click this little down arrow. Here we can see the format. And real quick, if you click this little thumbtack, we can actually move that to the side. Here we can round the corners off just a little bit. So we can round the corners here. We can change the transparency. We can change the tint. We can also add a drop shadow. So we're going to select a different color. We're going to select this little bit brighter color. We can change the distance. So I'm going to move it to the max just to right there. So here we have this little border right here. We can change the degree. So here we can change it all the way to around the photo, any which way we want the shadow to kind of drop from. The opacity, just change the thickness. So here we have like a really dark color, and we can go just a little bit of a lighter color, just a lot of shade. We change the blur, so it, a little bit of a shadow or whatever. There you go. So we could do something like this. Someone said they created a JPEG file as well as a PNG file and downloaded into the images. I can trace the picture into the page, but it doesn't allow me to stretch it. Okay, so chances are, if you have an image and you brought an image into, and it stays like this, and it won't let you move it. So chances are that reached its maximum capacity. The system will not let you stretch an image larger than its maximum size. It won't let you blur an image or have a distorted image. Um, so anytime you go to stretch it or make an image larger, you will get this little warning right here that says you reached your maximum size. Even if I go in and try to crop it, it will say, nope, you reached your maximum size. You can't do any more. If you get a warning like that, that's what it means. It's not going to let you stretch it any further. So the other thing we can do is we added a drop shadow to this one. So we can click on this one and come over here to glow, and we can add a color. Let's add this one right here so it can be seen. Change the occupancy to a little solid color, add blur, and then there we go. Then we can add a glow all the way around the box itself. And for any reason that you don't like it or you don't want this anymore, you can just go up here to off and just turn it off. All right. So next we have Snap Edit. What the Snap Edit does, is there a way to get around that? I can create a full page drop down. Um, Here we can get to that here in a minute. So next we want to talk about the Snap Edit. So we click on the Snap Edit right here. It's going to bring out this image. Now, like I said before, we can always change this image to a black and white, give it an old Western look, I guess. There, we can change the overlay to one of the colors here, and then of course the brightness. Um, Really one with a little bit of with the skill right here, you can change any of that stuff. Colorize. You can also adjust the brightness, the contrast. So if you want to change it just a little bit over a little bit, you can um, kind of control a little bit more of that, but it's all up to you. And then next over here, this little tab right here is mask. So here we're going to talk about how another way to get rid of all this empty space right above it. So what you can do is you can make sure this mask area says transparent. Bring the brush size up a little bit more, and then you can just paint that all that out, it's easier just to click on erase, because then you can just clear all this out right here, and you can adjust the brush size so it's a little bit smaller so you can get into these little finer details. Once you do that, you can hit save. When you're hitting save, it's going to save this image. It's not going to save the original image, just this image. The original image will be left alone and you can always use it somewhere else. But here you go, you have a mask, so you can drop this image right behind it, and you will see that everything's fine. You could also put this, if you wanted to, you could also put this at the bottom and have other things right above it. Um, you could also, under Snap Edit, there's also another option under Mask. Under Transparent is black and white. So here we can make this brush just a little bit bigger, and we can move everything behind it. We can change it to black and white. It just adds a different little bit of color or something a little different. Highlight one student, you can highlight a student that turn everything else black and white, and just have one student that's in color, and it's looks looks different. But once you do that, you can hit save, and again, it will save just this image, not the original, which is right here. But it's just something uh, to add a little more design to it. So another thing we can do, we've got a couple more things, is if we don't want to add a border like this, we want to do something different, we come over here to art and then shapes. And then we can bring a shape over by clicking and holding it. And then we can always adjust this shape to the size of the photo. Now it's covering the photo, so we're going to have to send this one to the back. So we come over here to arrange, and then we can say send it back. And now it's in the back. Here we can stretch this a little bit further. And then we can create a nice custom frame. Because sometimes with this border right here, if I make it too thick, it starts encroaching on the image a little bit. But you can make a frame around it without the need to add a stroke line around it. And here you can also click on the background. You can also change its color as well to anything that you want. You can also add a drop shadow to it. And so you can always do something like that. Next, we have text. So we're going to come over here to text. We're going to click and hold, and we got a text file right here, and we're just going to smack the keyboard here, type out some stuff. It says hi, how are you, and welcome to the webinar. All right. So some of the things you can do with this is we can come over here once we have it selected. If from the fonts that you have selected, you can always click on font and change the font style. You can also come over here if you have a predetermined style. You can also click on it and it will change it to that. Here we have the font size. If you select a larger font, and here we'll select, you select a larger font and you see that it has a red X right here, that means your font is larger than the box that it's in. So we just have to make this box just a little bit bigger. And there we go. The X is gone. We can change the color simply by clicking right here. We can change the text color. We can also come over here to text stroke, and we can click on this right here, and it will actually add a stroke around the text. We can click on shape stroke, and we can actually create a stroke line around the words right here. We can also see we have a 1. If we ever want to get rid of this, just change the point to 0, and then the stroke line is gone. You can also add to a stroke line as well. So then we have the shape fill. Here we can actually fill in the shape right here. Here we have the bold, italic, underline. This right here will change everything from a lowercase, uppercase, case, title case, or proper capitalization. Next, right here with a line, we can line everything to the left, to the center, to the right. We can justify it. If we have, here we go. Let's do this. Okay. So we want to align everything over here. So we have everything right here. So next we can do everything to the top, everything to the middle, or everything to the bottom. Next right here we have spacing. So we can space these words out any way we need them. All right. And then right here we have the same format and effect. And so we could change the transparency if we ever need to. And then right here, we also have drop shadow. Um, and we can always change the blur and the distance. So we can always do the same thing we did with the photos with the drop shadow and everything. So, okay, one last thing we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about the history tab. So right here is the history tab. The history tab will have everything that you've done either today, yesterday, and if we hit save, you will have stuff like here today, yesterday, this week, last week. Here is the most important one: is the older versions. If you have anything that you have done on this page and you need to go back to previous ones, say you need to go back to this one right here, click and hold, and you can pull it back from your history. And this one goes all the way back to your very first page. So it will pull it all the way back from the very beginning. So this is a lot of help in case you need to pull something back or you need to redo something or whatever. All right. So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. So one of them was, is there any way to get around that? Can I create a full page Dropbox and drop the image in it? You can create a image frame and drop it in there, but again, if it's something, if you have an image like this and you come over to your images and you see this red box or a purple box, it's not going to let you drop it in there. If you try, it's just going to drop it on top of it. And then when you go to complete your book, it's not going to let you because you have an image frame that's unused. All right. Is there any other questions?
Hi, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Um, we've u- we've used a publisher outside of the I guess the online platform to create pages before in the past,
Yes.
and our school have passed off these pages to school annuals to have them drop them off, drop them into the pages, and they were able to do it for us. And I don't know how it's done, but I'm wondering how it can be done and if it still can be done, because there was a question about whether if we stretch the picture and it will fit, because I think sometimes it reaches its capacity.
Um, yes, you can do these pages in um, Publisher, and then we can put them on here, and then we just either stretch them to the 8.5 by 11, or from the upper corner right here all the way down to the very bottom. It all depends on what their dimensions are. We just put them on the page, and then that's that.
So there wouldn't be any limitations on as far as how big you can stretch it, correct?
Right. But the main thing you want to make sure, the biggest thing you want to make sure is that the whatever images you have are inside this blue area, in this viewable area.
Well, I think the publisher creates everything smaller than the blue area, but our concern is that whether or not if it can be stretched to fit into the page. The reason why we do it in publisher is because there's a lot more design features and a lot more things we can do with that program.
So you can make it you can set your page up for 8.75 by 11.25. That allows that 8.5. Well, not 8. Sorry, that 1/8 inch lead line, and then just make sure that everything sits inside the 8.5 by 11.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the size that I need to set it on the publisher?
So for publisher, it's right here. It's the 8.75 by 11.25.
Oh, God, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, one question. So when
Yep.
we create it in Publisher and we give them to you, do we need to number the pages so you guys will know what page goes where?
Yes, they have to be numbered, or we'll kick it back and say, where do they go?
And then if we have some that, because we have multiple people using it and some people are using the online platform, would that be a problem? No, right? Because as long as we specify the pages, you would know that what goes where.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Anything else? You can always
I'm
just
just wondering, are the webinars on the spot where it says help, are those the linked webinars you're talking about at the beginning, or
yeah. So
where
if you
are
ever,
they?
yeah, we have two of them. We have, like, of course, our Facebook that has all of our previous webinars. You can actually click 22, 23, and here's all the webinars we've recorded for this season. You can
Oh,
also
okay.
go to help and then click on help.
Yeah, I've only seen them in help. So
Yeah,
thanks.
and then you can see, getting started, video tutorials, online features. Video tutorials will have multiple videos you can watch, just like using your image library, and it will have should have a video. I think I took this video down. I think there's an old video.
But maybe if I go back to the YouTube page, I might find something.
Yeah. The YouTube page will have all the previous webinars that we've recorded. It will also have tech shorts, so things like from adding your staff to viewing pages to PDF, and just the little things, what to do, like toggling images, uh, cutting out backgrounds, portrait flow, a long version, a short version of the portrait flow, history tab. So some of the things that we talked here, but maybe it's just like little chunks. So instead of sitting through a whole entire webinar, we basically took those little chunks of webinars and put them right here in the tech shorts.
Thank you. Do you know if you guys offer a test print?
Um, that I'm not 100% sure. May want to get a hold of your rep and ask them.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And here, real quick, let me read this outro. Just if you have any more questions, we could stay, but I just want to get this outro here real quick. All right, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. These demonstrations for the functions related to the creation of activity pages may help when it comes time to build your yearbook. Using the templates already in the program and building your own templates should save time and give a book continuity. Feel free to join us next time for the final steps in our yearbook uh, building process. Um, I'd like to thank you all for joining. The next webinar, I highly suggest you sign up and make sure you are signed up for it. That one is going to help tremendously when it comes time to finding any errors on your page, getting things tidied up, explaining why you have to do certain things on your page before you get pages submitted, and the things to look for before you submit, and things that you need to consider after you submit too. Um, so definitely make sure that you sign up for that one. And if there's no further questions, again, thank you very much. And you can always call or email in, and I can help you out.